What's going on, people? First things first, I want to wish a happy new year to everybody watching the channel. Hope you guys had a great holiday season, and I want to apologize for the abrupt absence here on the channel. There really hasn't been anything in the ways of video content or live streams. So obviously the month of December is very busy for everybody out there, I'm sure, between the holiday season and finishing up things at work. And then unfortunately your boy got hit with the you-know-what. So for the past 2 weeks, creating content was really the last thing on my mind. The only thing on my mind was survival. But I'm finally feeling much better, albeit a little bit congested. So bear with me throughout the course of the video as we discuss my thoughts on the Halo Infinite campaign. I'm going to try to keep this video as spoiler free as I can because I know a lot of people are still playing Halo Infinite. Some people are waiting to dive into the game. I'm going to keep this spoiler free as I can, but if there is something that I allude to, I'll make sure to add a spoiler tag somewhere across the screen for you guys to skip past the spoilers and back onto the main topic. But Halo Infinite, man, I don't think I need to sit here and rehash the turbulent development cycle that was this game. From its initial announcement, years of not knowing anything about it, and then the summer showcase back in 2020, wow, that was a showcase. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. Xbox made the executive decision to push the game back another year for some much needed polish. And things were starting to look up for Halo Infinite. We had that multiplayer beta drop and it was feeling like Halo, man. But the only thing that kept me a little cautious was the fact that we hadn't seen anything about the campaign. But we finally got our hands on it and I'm kind of underwhelmed. So I'm going to start out with a lot of the good in Halo Infinite because there is some good in this game. First things first, the intro of the game is honestly one of my favorite openings of all of Halo because it does something that 343, in my personal opinion, really hasn't been the best at, and it's creating a compelling villain. The opening of Halo Infinite is essentially the first 5 minutes of Avengers Infinity War. Like, straight up, man, it's awesome. It sets the tone for this game and you get really excited to see where things go. In terms of new characters introduced to the Halo lore, we've got two brand new companions in the ways of Echo 216 and The Weapon. And I gotta say, this is one of the best parts about Halo Infinite. The dynamic between these three characters, their chemistry is friggin' awesome. You've got Echo 216 who is like, man, I don't want to do this. Let's just get the hell out of here, bro. This is not something that we need to do. It is above our pay grade. And I know a character like that can be extremely annoying and come off as a coward, but depending on how it's handled, I tend to like those people because they have their character moments where they more or less redeem themselves, which Echo has one moment in this game that I really liked. But then you got The Weapon, bro, which The Weapon is friggin' awesome, man. I look at The Weapon kind of like us if we were in the world of Halo, but we knew about the world of Halo, and how we'd comment on everything happening in the game, but with like a fresh perspective, like, wow, we're really going through this. This is actually happening. Wow, it's just freaking awesome. It's a great contrast to Master Chief and his stoic nature, which Master Chief in this game, I really liked. I know Chief kind of comes off as a really one-dimensional character who doesn't say much. He's only focused on the mission at hand, but there's no time for jokes. But when you pair him with two really dynamic and emotional characters like Echo and The Weapon, I just really like this little group. Now, admittedly, the first hour or two of this game is really slow because it's reintroducing you to the world of Halo. It's introducing you to the new mechanics that are in the game, which let's talk about those right now. Halo Infinite introduces 4 brand new Spartan abilities, and they are as follows. You've got this little shield you can drop to repel enemy bullets. You've got a little sonar that reveals all the invisible enemies on the field. You've got thrust, which is essentially yeeting yourself out of the way, and you've got the grapple shot. And throughout the course of the game, you were able to acquire Spartan cores and upgrade all of those abilities. But I'm going to be honest, outside of the grapple shot and maybe thrust, I really didn't care about the other two. Upgrading the grapple shot was my priority throughout the game because the grapple shot is one of the coolest additions in all of Halo, especially with this open world. It's how you traverse most of it, which will unfortunately touch on later. But the grapple shot is insanely awesome, being able to use it to pull yourself towards enemies and then automatically melee them and then get yourself a coil and then throw those at enemy. I loved it. It's so much fun. And it is a welcome addition to the world of Halo, this new aspect of the gameplay. And speak about the gameplay, dude, Halo Infinite, one of the best feeling Halo games of all time, man. You see, the thing about Halo, it's a franchise that it doesn't come around too often. Like the last time we got a Halo game was back in 2015, but throughout the past couple of years, 343 has really fine-tuned everything about this game that just made it feel beautiful. And then when you pair the really good gameplay mechanics with the sound design of this game, dude, the sound design of Halo Infinite is dope as hell, bro. Every single weapon has the right amount of punch, whether it's your standard Marine weapons or you're using some of the new banished weapons, everything sounds great. And talking about the visuals of the game, okay, so this is where it's kind of 50-50 because there's some aspects about the Halo Infinite game that look really good, and then others that you can definitely tell this was a cross-gen game, which, I mean, it makes sense. This was made with the vanilla Xbox One 2013 VCR in mind, so of course they can't go balls to the walls with the visuals, but what we've gotten, especially on the Xbox Series X, is a pretty crispy image, all things considered. But the game truly does shine when you are in the more indoor settings, and obviously that has to do with the fact that it doesn't have to render as much as the open world. So when you're in the indoor settings and just you take the time to look at the detail on the weapons, man, like there's seriously some great attention to detail in this game. It's incredible. Especially if you look at the cutscenes, Chief will actually change his stance depending on what weapon he's holding, whether it's a pistol or whether he's holding something like a rocket launcher. It's not something that is going to, you know, set the world on fire like other games haven't done this before, but it's those little things I really appreciate. I'm a big sucker for immersion in video games, and one of the best parts about Halo Infinite is the grunts' dialogue and how they react to certain things. Like, I remember I was driving a Warthog and I didn't stick the landing as I was going over a cliff, which caused my Warthog to flip over. And the first thing I hear, the first thing is a Warthog just yelling at me like, ha ha, he can't even drive that thing. Oh, I just, bro, that was disrespectful. It was one lonely grunt that said that. I took out my rocket launcher and I just ended that dude because that right there, you can't just hit him with one bullet. You gotta go big or go home, bro. Now let's talk about the main selling point of this game, that being Halo has gone full-on open world. Yes, gone are the days of mostly linear Halo missions, and now we have an entire open world to explore, kind of similar to the original Halo Combat Evolved, except like 100 times bigger. And I remember the week Halo Infinite came out, that weekend I hosted an Ask Neo and people were asking for some of my impressions on the Halo Infinite campaign. Now at this point I had put like 3 or so hours into the game. I did like the first 2 story missions. I did a couple of side missions and I was really enjoying what I was playing, but I was worried that what I was playing, these missions would essentially be the extent of what the open world has to offer. And unfortunately, yeah, the open world in Halo Infinite is really bare bones. I'm talking basic as all hell. No type of originality, no type of style, no type of substance. Excluding the main missions, you have 3 side missions that you are going to be repeating over and over and over again. Capturing the forward operating bases, FOBs, taking down high value targets, and rescuing the Marines. Those 3 missions, rinse and repeat over and over and over again. And that was my biggest fear with an open world Halo. I have no problem with games going open world, provided it's actually done competently. See The Witcher 3, for example. And I know not every single game can live up to the pedigree of CD Projekt Red pre-Cyberpunk, but if you are going to make me sacrifice extra time and delve into your open world, you've got to make it worth the damn. But unfortunately, they really didn't. I'm not gonna lie, I did have a lot of fun taking down the high value targets because the Halo Infinite gameplay is really fun. But after you do those for a couple of rounds, you're just like, okay, I would like to do something else, something different, maybe some story attached to some of these missions here. But no, you don't get those at all. Now, you do get some benefits from doing these side objectives. Like, for example, if you save the Marines, you're able to take them with you in combat. But if I'm being 100% honest with y'all, I stopped saving the Marines after a while when I realized their AI was basically brain dead. I'll never forget this. After I saved my first round of Marines and I had them on the base and everything, I loaded up into a Warthog and I must have honked that horn a good 20 times before it registered with the AI. It's like, oh, are we fighting now? We're going somewhere? All right, let's pile in. And at that point, I was just like, you know what? Screw this. I'll take the Warthog my damn self and I'll hop on the gun and shoot the enemies. It was just way less time consuming that way. There's never like a Breath of the Wild moment where gamers are exploring the worlds and they find this thing and they're just like, whoa, I've been playing the game 3 years and I never found that. Basically, the only things you're going to find in this open world are just Craig memes, which are awesome, but that's it. So at that point, I probably would have preferred it to be 100% linear. So the overall side missions and objectives in Halo Infinite is really disappointing because it's the same thing over and over and over again. And I get it on some fundamental level in a lot of open world games. Side missions can feel very samey, but it's up to you as the developer to craft really interesting side missions to reward the player with their time being spent away from the main missions. And with Halo Infinite, I really didn't get that. I mean, the weapons you get from the high value targets is great, but to be honest, like, you can use any other weapon in the game and you'll be just fine. And now let's talk about my most disappointing part playing through the Halo Infinite open world. And this right here was the straw that broke the camel's back, where I was just done with 343 ever attempting open world in Halo. And that's the vehicles and how they're utilized in the world. With the exception of one or two vehicles, damn near every single vehicle that you can use to traverse is pretty much useless, because Halo Infinite's terrain works against most of the vehicles in the game. Good luck trying to use a Scorpion at all in this game when it is stopped by literal tiny rocks and tree stumps. And I know some people are saying that, well, they were trying to emulate how Halo vehicles felt in the past and it felt kind of weird going up this traversal, but bro, it's 2021. We expect these vehicles, these highly futuristic vehicles, I might add, to not be stumped literally by stumps. So pretty much 99% of the time spent in this game was me traversing with the grapple shot. And at that point, I'm like, am I playing Halo Infinite or is this Spider-Man Miles Morales, the Xbox edition? It was weird, man. So we've tackled the open world campaign. Let's discuss the story in Halo Infinite, which the story, oh God. One of the benefits about taking my time playing this game was I got to hear a lot of chatter, whether it was the Twitter sphere or a lot of reviews my personal friends have been putting up. And a lot of people were saying that this is one of the greatest campaigns, if not the greatest campaign in all of Halo. I respectively disagree, and I want to know what y'all is smoking, because this right here did not get me excited about the future of Halo. In fact, this is one of the most disappointing campaigns in all of Halo. But before we dive into the story beats, I want to talk about why this campaign is disappointing from a mission structure. Every single mission in this game is exactly the same. Rinse and repeat. There is no type of diversity in Halo Infinite. There is no type of difference in environments. It's the exact same static world. There's no deserts. There's no snowy environments. There's nothing even remotely distinct. Everything is just the same static environment in the open world. And then when you're playing through the campaign missions, every single mission is conducted in a Forerunner facility. It's exactly the same. You go into the facility, you fight waves of enemies, you get these power battery Cs that you need to open up a door, and then all throughout you're hearing all of this exposition in your ear with the whispers, and then it ends off with usually a boss fight or some type of hologram that you're watching, which is committing one of the biggest cardinal sins I have ever seen in a video game: exposition dumps. A lot of telling you rather than showing you. And I know some people might be confused by that. What do you mean they're telling you a lot of stuff rather than showing you? The game is not crafting a narrative. There is nothing here that has a beginning, middle, and end, a three-part structure. It doesn't. It's just a whole bunch of time spent with Master Chief watching holograms of stuff that already happened, stuff that happened off screen. And at that point, it's taking me out of the experience, because I remember there was a time when we played Halo and we played as Master Chief and we saw this stuff happen and unfold right before our very eyes. We were a part of the experience. Now it just feels like someone watching cutscenes for a video game on YouTube rather than playing it themselves. And when you combine all of this exposition dump with the fact that the game doesn't have an identity, it doesn't have any type of memorable missions to call its own, it's like, what are we even doing here? There's no type of compelling set pieces with the campaign. There's no memorable missions. There's none of the stuff that we love about Halo. None of the stuff like Halo 3, for example, Halo mission. None of that is in Halo Infinite at all. It's just nothing but a constant exposition dump, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is the Rise of Skywalker for Halo stories. It's a lot of backtracking. It's a lot of, hey, let's set up new things for the future without really explaining the stuff that happened in the previous games. Say what you will about the Halo 4 and 5 campaigns. I have my personal issues with them, but what we got in Halo Infinite is nothing but a huge retcon. All of the things that happened in Halo 5 that you're wondering explanation on, you don't really get answers in this game. But what you do get in this game, what you do get, ladies and gentlemen, is more questions to set up the future of Halo. Oh boy, here we go again. And that's my problem with 343. They have no type of direction. They're like the Sonic team for Western developers. Instead of actually buckling down and, you know, taking the time to stick with something and make it work, they just do all of these random things and pray to God something sticks. But the problem in doing that is that you never establish anything. The reason why the Bungie Halo trilogy is so revered is because it starts off in Halo Combat Evolved, it evolves in Halo 2, and then it caps off with Halo 3 in this beautiful story of Master Chief. We are now 3 games into the 343 saga, and I'm left wondering, what exactly are we doing here? I mean, if you look at it like this is a soft reboot for the Halo franchise, then I guess maybe we'll get excited for the future, but is that really what Halo has become, ladies and gentlemen? Has Halo become literally just 343 Industries soft rebooting it every single time shit goes wrong? I can't get into that. There was nothing about this Halo Infinite story that left me feeling emotional. There was nothing about this story that left me feeling intrigued and excited for the future. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the most disappointing part about this campaign. They expect you to get excited for the setup for the future, and I can't gel with that. I get excited for the future when you lay out a great foundation and you give me things and reasons to get excited. But when you spend my whole 15 hours playing this game, just retconning the last one and not adding anything of value into this game, just a whole bunch of, here's some more questions, check back for more later, that's not okay. That's not, and it is certainly not worthy of being in the discussion of the best campaigns in all of Halo. It's not the fact that it has a cliffhanger that's the problem. Cliffhangers aren't a problem. One of the greatest sequel movies of all time ends off on a major cliffhanger. But they gave us so much in that story to get excited for the future. Halo Infinite doesn't do that, but it expects you to care. And I know everyone watching this video is probably going to take umbrage with that point. They're going to say, Neo, just wait for the DLC expansion. Wait for the year 1 update. Wait for the year 2 update. But when are we going to stop waiting for 343 Industries? Listen, I get it. Video game development is extremely difficult. But when you have had literally a decade to craft an entire Halo saga, and this is the best that you can come up with, I'm sorry, maybe you're just not up to the task. There needs to be a fundamental shift at 343 Industries if this is the best that they can come up with. After 10 years, the third game, what should be a finale in a trilogy, feels like nothing whatsoever. It doesn't have an identity at all. It's just a whole bunch of exposition dumps of characters that you love and you grew up with, and you want to see explanations, but they don't give you them. They don't. But get excited for the future. Xbox Game Pass, baby! And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Neo, if you wanted to get more story out of Halo Infinite, you should have tracked down the audio logs. And that right there was my biggest problem with the first Destiny game. The fact that you had to go and get supplemental material to form some semblance of a story instead of the story being told to you, especially if the story is 15 hours, that's not cool. That's not cool. How is this okay? I know people are really tired of me comparing The Witcher 3 to every single open world game, but The Witcher 3 is a perfect example of that. The Witcher 3 gives you a very coherent story, but if you want to get more about the world and the characters, you play the side missions that are as good as the main missions. Going and playing Halo Infinite, not really getting anything from the story except hoping and praying that the next installment's great, that doesn't scratch the itch. It doesn't. Especially when Bungie has done this before with their trilogy and done it better. The entirety of Halo Infinite's campaign felt like 100% damage control. I know a lot of people are probably going to like it because, okay, this brings it back to how Halo used to be in the OG days, and going forward, the stories are going to be better. But did we really need the past 10 years of Halo to get us to this point? And should we even trust them going forward? Is that really the state of gaming nowadays? Is that the state of Halo, where this company has had the rights to this franchise for over a decade and they haven't really done anything with it? Why are we supposed to get excited about what comes in the future when what they've given us doesn't show us any inclination that they know what they're doing? I know this is probably not the most optimistic video to post on the channel, but I gotta be honest, you guys, I am not excited for the future of Halo if this is what it's come down to. Just more waiting and more waiting and more waiting and more waiting. Sure, the gameplay is solid, but I remember there was a time where Halo used to be a complete package. It used to be awesome multiplayer, an incredible narrative, co-op campaign, Forge mode. Now, you'll be lucky if you even get half of that. So that basically wraps up my thoughts on the Halo Infinite campaign, you guys. There is some good in this, and depending on what they do in the future, I can see it being very exciting for a lot of people, but as it stands, I feel like my time has been wasted. My time with these characters has been wasted, and it's just been nothing but an exposition, retcon, hullabaloo. That's literally what I feel. But anyways, I want you guys to post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys thought about the Halo Infinite campaign. And from me to you for now, my name is NGS signing out. Like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.